Video highlights from Dirt Track Speedway, presented by Fast Chefs by Actual Exchange. They're not just fast, they're first. FastChefs.com. Well, good evening, race fans. My name is Bucky Doren. Thanks for joining me tonight for another edition of Dirt Track Speedway. It's a show about the Iowa dirt track lifestyle. If you're not familiar with it, the show is kind of formatted like if you're hanging out at a dirt track on a weekly show. It'll have hot laps, which is what we're in right now, heat races, talking about some of the marquee things that I've noticed, trophy dash for tonight, an update on Artifice Speedway and what that's all about in the background. Our A main tonight, talking about qualifying and different formats, and finally, my victory lane conversation tonight, talking about We Are Family. It's about the Iowa dirt track lifestyle. Thanks for tuning in tonight for Dirt Track Speedway, episode 14, July 31st, 2017. So our heat race conversation tonight, talking about first-timers. Been a little bit under the weather here, so I didn't get a whole lot of pictures or graphics lined up for today, but I did make a few notes. Corey Sauerman, I saw getting his first modified win on Saturday night at the Boone Speedway, first career in the IMCA modified. Also, Kyle Madden on Saturday night over at the Independence Motor Speedway got his first career win. I thought he was going to beat the heck out of his roof, and then he did the old gorilla stance on the top of it. Congratulations. And then Nick Meyer. What an up-and-down year Nick Meyer has had. Started the season in a IMCA Sport Mod. I think he's destroyed 2 chassis this year with the bad luck. Took a couple of weeks off. Showed up. I was working Friday night at the Hancock County Speedway, and I said, I think that's a modified. And there he is on the screen. Well, that Sunday, he ended up getting the win at the Clay County Speedway as well. All right, so you've been seeing a little bit of pictures on my Facebook page about this thing in the background. It's called Artifice Speedway. It's just something a little fun. We did a promotion earlier in the year with stop motion, whichever you prefer. Did a giveaway with Fast Shafts. By the way, they're not just fast, they're first. Thanks to Fast Shafts and Pat Fagan for supporting Dirt Track Speedway. And don't forget, Boone's coming up. They're going to be there, and if you need gears for your rear end, who doesn't need their rear end looked at? Pat will be able to help you out with that as well. Sorry. We get a hold of Pat if you need to rent some gears. In the past, he's done that. And also, of course, make sure you got all your drive shaft needs. He'll be on Manufacturer's Row. But anyway, it's just a fun little thing that I'm working on, some stop action stuff. Actually, started doing some shooting for a season that we're going to have during the off season. When they're going to be out, I don't know. It all kind of depends on how long it takes me to produce them and whatnot. You can see the new billboards in the background. We got new pit area and pit stalls. And we've also updated the lap board there in the bottom right-hand corner. It's a little brighter and a little easier to see now. So we'll be working on that, having some fun with the Artifice Speedway. And as you can see, your logo here, we're shooting the first race right now, but we're working on 8, so we can get you in on the other 7. Plus, also, if you want to do a giveaway as well, we can certainly work something out like we did with the Fast Shafts Invitational. Some fun for the drivers and a reward as well. But that's Artifice Speedway and the latest update. So my main conversation tonight, actually I've been thinking about this last couple of weeks, talking about qualifying and the different formats that sanctioning bodies use, outlaws use, USMTS, IMCA, UMP, time trials, all that other stuff. And I don't think you're ever going to have a format that makes anybody happy. And the reason why I decided to bring it up is because I don't think everybody understands exactly the format, despite the fact that we've been using it for years. I know the last couple of weeks, at Saturday night, I work at the Independence Motor Speedway, and I'm part of the crew that sets the lineups and so forth. And we constantly have been getting at least 3 questions a night from the same drivers. Why am I starting in this particular position? Well, IMCA uses a weekly average. It's your total number of points divided by the number of nights that you've been there. And if you miss 2 nights in a row, then you get shoved behind everybody else. It's kind of the reward for the weekly guy. So if you have the most amount of points gather average, so if you come in and show up and win, and you only been there 1 night, your point average is 40. You're going to start behind everybody else. That's just the way it works. Now, USMTS uses a passing point system. Basically, you get finishing points from where you end up at the end of the race, but you get at bonus points, I think it's 1.5 per car, that you pass based on your starting position. You start 10th, you win, that's 9 positions. You do the math, you add it all up. I think it's 65 to win. So the other option usually is a draw, redraw, or a time trial format. Well, not all tracks can really handle a time trial format, that's for sure. And it's it really needs electronic timing and scoring, and there's very few tracks in the area that have that. It is quite the burden financially to take a look at. So what's the perfect answer with qualifying? I don't think there really is a perfect answer for qualifying. However, I think there's some options that you can look at to try to maybe appease some people. When we created the Hawkeye Dirt Tour a few years ago, 2010, before we decided to make it an IMCA sanction, simply because there was more IMCA tracks and we thought that was the smartest thing to do business-wise, we had actually created a hybrid which included passing points and also winning, because there have been sometimes, granted it's for the larger shows, when you get 70, 80 cars, I've seen it where the winners don't advance and don't make it to the A. They have to run a B. Why? It's because there's cars in the back that came forward and finished in second and third, piled up all those passing points. The guy started on the pole. You have to win and hope that nobody else beats the points. So it's more of a reward for a bad draw. Draw, redraw, rewards you for being up front with no point invert. So we had kind of a hodgepodge of winning, the winners, and then passing points, and then running Bs off of that. So if anybody's ever curious about that, I'd be glad to share it. It's a little complicated and why we never really did it. So no matter what you do about qualifying, there's always going to be somebody upset. Those that like to have the cars up front because you're there. And then I saw also today, Tyler Pickett actually had a very interesting post that showed up. Now, I decided this on Sunday night, and I think about 4 o'clock this afternoon, he asked, season championship, how should the starting lineup be? There's the option. IMCA gives you two options. You can do a points where the guy up front is the point leader coming into the night. The theory on that is to reward the guys and gals who race there all season long to give them a front row starting spot. The problem with that is there's some guys that are done racing at their tracks. They want to show up and race, but now they're going to have to start behind everybody else, so they're not going to come, so we're hurting car count. Then there's another option where you can just run your regular program and be done. Now, I've seen some tracks, I don't know how it all legally works out, but they run their heats, and then the top 12 that made it out of the heats are then lined up on their points with the point leader up front. So it's some different options. But I found it interesting that a lot of the drivers were basically saying up front, up front, up front. And I agree with that. But also at the same time, the fans were saying, hey, I didn't come to watch the two guys that have laid the points all year run off and have a two-car race. I get that. So I guess maybe I'll put a little more noodle on it, and maybe I'll offer a few more suggestions. All right, so my Victory Lane conversation tonight is talking about We Are Family. And this is kind of actually something that I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks. It's not overly publicized, but it's no secret that the promoter at the Independence Motor Speedway, my boss, is not going to be returning for 2018. And so I really hadn't decided what I wanted to do for 2018. I love working with the crew that I have. Why? Because we're family. And so we have actually had a conversation for the first time with all three of us that kind of handle what goes on the track and the flow for Dana at the track there, the flagman and the scorer. And it was the first time we actually really talked about it. And my thought was, well, I wanted to travel. And then I realized that the other two were still interested if all three of us were going to stick around. And that was, to be honest with you, the whole reason why I even came back and worked this year, was because I loved working with those guys. And it's a very weird family that we have. You know, you get in a circle and you can pick on everybody. You're too fat, you're too slow, you're too lazy, and everyone will laugh, even the guy that's getting picked on. But somebody from outside of that circle suddenly comes in and wants to point a few fingers. Everyone gets ready to fight him out. Now, I wanted to show you. Now, okay, I always know when I mention anything about NASCAR, everyone gets all upset. Asphalt's to get there, but dirt's to race on. But that doesn't mean we can't learn things from NASCAR. So the guy deleted the tweet, but there was a tweet I saw this morning, and I should have captured it. But basically, he's bagging on the announcers on NBC. And yeah, if you like the guys, great. If you don't like the guys, whatever. So anyway, they were talking about the rules of the engine, and they were talking about aluminum heads and steel block. And the guy basically says, here's the stupid NASCAR NBC announcers that have no clue, and basically said, last I knew, blocks were aluminum. So Steve Letarte jumped in, and this is from his Twitter response, and as you can see, it says the tweet is unavailable. He's responding to it. Not a NASCAR, pal. Aluminum head, steel blocks, but thanks for doing your research. All right, so I was like, all right, I like that. But then, of course, somebody had to jump in, and I won't give the individual's name. I did follow a lot of this here. The individual basically tagged Steve Letarte, the guy that originally posted it, and then Dale Jr., and said, ever wonder why fans are tuning out? Announcers attacking fans, drivers attacking fans, money went to their heads. Apparently punctuation went to your head. I believe ever wonder why fans are tuning out is a question not a statement. Maybe it is. I don't know. So then I went to this guy's page and then found out, he hardly ever follows racing. So all of a sudden he's jumping in, and then he retweets what he had. Reason number 1002 that at NASCAR is failing. Announcers and drivers attack average fans daily on Twitter. Their disdain for the fan is palpable. Frankly, the palpability, my friend, is the fact that you're defending an individual that came in swinging at one of our racing family members. He didn't have a jack clue of what the rules were. Made a big to-do about how stupid the announcers were, but he didn't have the answers. Why? Because the disdain out of this whole thing is the fact that we allow lazy people to come in and throw punches. Lazy, because he didn't want to spend 5 minutes to look it up. I took 5 minutes to look at the rule. Although I took Steve Letart's word, I did some research and found out, yep, sure enough, that's the rules. So he is there defending an individual who comes in swinging and is basically doing it without any kind of research. And that's the disdain. The palpability of this is allowing others to continue to do this. I think it's okay to call out people. I didn't want to call out the individual's name just because, not because I'm scared, because what do I get out of it? I'm trying to teach a lesson. That's what I get out of it. So here we are in a world where everyone's talking about social media is ruining racing. Promoters are ruining racing. Fans are ruining racing. But all comes back to how they act on social media. It's not social media. It's not the gun that kills people. It's the person pulling the trigger. And if you don't stop those people from pulling the trigger, they're going to continue to pull and continue to upset innocent people. And they're going to do it without any remorse whatsoever or any regard to facts. If you're going to come in there and shoot your mouth off, you damn well better get your facts right. And if you do shoot your mouth off, you better be prepared because our circle's going to come after you because we are family. That's my conversation for tonight. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And remember, next week, no show. I'm actually going to take some vacation, although I probably will be working a few nights with IMCA TV Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but spending a little time with my kid. He gets moved in on Wednesday and is going to be starting football practice Wednesday afternoon. So pretty proud of my college boy and hard to figure out, am I really that old? Yes. And my circle of family in the dirt track world can make fun of me. You outsiders and posers can't. Thanks, guys. I'm throwing in the towel tonight. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.